Single dad accidentally sees CEO changing his life changes forever. The moment Ethan Carter looked up from the stack of delivery boxes in his arms, he saw something he was never supposed to see. For one frozen second, the world seemed to stop moving. The powerful CEO, whose face appeared on billboards across the city, stood alone in a glass office, high above the skyline. Her confident public mask was gone. The woman who controlled a billion-dollar company looked completely different from the image everyone knew, and what Ethan witnessed in that brief accidental moment would change both of their lives forever. Before we begin, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected human connections, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Dream Porch Stories. Your support helps us continue bringing emotional stories like this one to life. Ethan Carter never imagined his life would become so difficult. 5 years earlier, he had been living a simple but happy life. He worked as a construction supervisor, earned enough to support his family, and spent every evening with his wife, Lily, and their newborn daughter, Emma. They didn't have much money, but they had dreams, laughter, and the comforting certainty that tomorrow would be better than today. Then, tragedy arrived without warning. A drunk driver crossed into the wrong lane one rainy night and changed everything. Lily never came home. The grief nearly destroyed Ethan. For months, he moved through life like a ghost. Every room reminded him of her. Every photograph felt like a knife twisting inside his chest. The hardest part wasn't losing his wife. It was watching his little daughter ask questions he couldn't answer. At first, Emma would point toward family photos and ask when Mommy was coming back. Then she stopped asking. That hurt even more. Children adapt to pain in ways adults never fully understand. They learn to live around empty spaces. Ethan promised himself that no matter how broken he felt, he would give Emma the best life possible. Unfortunately, life had other plans. A major economic downturn hit the construction industry. Projects were canceled. Workers were laid off. Ethan lost his job. The savings disappeared quickly. Medical bills from the accident consumed what little remained. Within 2 years, the comfortable life Ethan once knew was gone. He moved into a small apartment on the edge of the city. Every morning began before sunrise. He worked multiple jobs, deliveries, warehouse shifts, night stocking, anything that paid enough to keep food on the table and a roof over Emma's head. Exhaustion became his permanent companion. Still, he never complained. Every sacrifice felt worthwhile when he saw Emma smile. Now, 10 years old, Emma had inherited her mother's gentle heart. She understood more than Ethan realized. She noticed when he skipped meals so she could have seconds. She noticed the growing holes in his shoes. She noticed how tired he looked every evening. One afternoon, Ethan received an assignment from the delivery company. A package needed to be hand-delivered to the headquarters of Ashford Enterprises. Everyone in the city knew that company. Its CEO, Victoria Ashford, was considered one of the most successful business leaders in the country. Magazines called her brilliant. News stations called her powerful. Competitors called her unstoppable. People admired her success. Some feared her influence. Almost nobody truly knew her. Ethan certainly didn't. To him, she was simply another rich executive living in a world completely different from his own. That morning, he arrived at the towering glass skyscraper, carrying several packages. The lobby alone looked more expensive than his entire apartment building. Polished marble floors reflected the light from massive chandeliers overhead. Employees hurried through the building, wearing tailored suits and carrying expensive laptops. Ethan felt invisible among them. He completed most of his deliveries quickly. Then a receptionist informed him that one package required a signature from an executive office upstairs. After receiving temporary access, Ethan entered a private elevator. Moments later, he found himself on the highest floor. The atmosphere was strangely quiet. As he walked down a hallway lined with glass walls, something unexpected happened. One of the packages slipped from his hands. Several documents scattered across the floor. Embarrassed, Ethan hurried to gather them. When he stood up, He accidentally looked through a partially transparent office window. That was when he saw Victoria Ashford. The sight stunned him. The famous CEO stood near her desk, adjusting a sophisticated medical support device hidden beneath her clothing. The brace extended along one side of her body. She moved carefully, clearly experiencing discomfort. For years, media photographs had portrayed her as flawless and powerful. Yet here she was, alone, struggling simply to stand comfortably. Before Ethan could look away, Victoria noticed him. Their eyes met. Shock flashed across both faces. Ethan immediately lowered his gaze and apologized. He expected security to escort him out. Instead, something unexpected happened. Victoria simply nodded. There was embarrassment in her expression. But there was also relief, as though she was tired of pretending to be invincible. Ethan finished the delivery and left. He assumed that would be the end of it. He was wrong. 3 days later, he received a phone call. Ashford Enterprises requested his presence. Certain documents connected to the delivery needed clarification. Confused, Ethan agreed. When he arrived, he was escorted directly to Victoria's office. The CEO greeted him personally. The encounter felt surreal. She thanked him for his professionalism and discretion. Apparently, security footage confirmed he had never mentioned what he accidentally witnessed. Not to coworkers. Not online. Not anyone. Victoria seemed genuinely grateful. Their conversation lasted only 15 minutes. Yet, something unusual happened. For the first time in years, Victoria spoke to someone who expected nothing from her. No contracts, no investments, no favors, just simple human conversation. She asked about his life. Ethan answered honestly. He spoke about Emma, about losing Lily, about working multiple jobs, about trying to keep moving forward. Victoria listened quietly. When he finished, her eyes seemed distant, almost sad. After he left, she couldn't stop thinking about him. Most people she encountered wanted something: status, money, influence. Ethan wanted none of those things. He simply wanted his daughter to have a good future. Weeks passed. Then another unexpected call arrived. Ashford Enterprises needed temporary contract workers for a warehouse modernization project. The pay was significantly better than Ethan's current job. He accepted immediately. The project lasted several months. During that time, Victoria occasionally visited the warehouse. Their conversations remained brief but meaningful. Gradually, she learned more about him. She learned he volunteered at Emma's school whenever possible, despite his exhausting schedule. She learned he secretly repaired neighbors' appliances for free when they couldn't afford replacements. She learned he frequently gave away portions of his lunch to homeless people near the warehouse. Small acts, unnoticed by most, but impossible to ignore once seen. Meanwhile, Ethan learned something surprising about Victoria. The injury he accidentally witnessed wasn't recent. Years earlier, she had survived a serious accident. The damage left permanent physical complications. Doctors predicted she would never fully recover. Rather than showing vulnerability, she buried herself in work. Success became armor. Achievement became distraction. The world saw power. Nobody saw pain. One rainy evening, everything changed again. Emma was participating in a school science competition. Ethan promised he would attend. Unfortunately, a transportation delay trapped him across town. Traffic barely moved. Minutes passed, then an hour. Panic filled him. He couldn't miss this. Emma had worked for months preparing her project. As he desperately searched for alternatives, a familiar black vehicle stopped nearby. The window lowered. Victoria Ashford sat inside. Without hesitation, she offered him a ride. They reached the school moments before the presentations began. Ethan rushed inside. Emma's face lit up when she saw him. That expression alone made every struggle worthwhile. Victoria remained near the back of the auditorium, watching quietly, observing something she rarely experienced. Family, connection, unconditional love. Emma eventually won second place. To her, It felt like first. After the event, she excitedly thanked Victoria for helping her father arrive on time. The innocent gratitude touched something deep within the CEO, a feeling she hadn't experienced in years. For the next several months, an unlikely friendship developed. Victoria occasionally joined Ethan and Emma for community events. Nothing extravagant. School fairs, charity drives, neighborhood festivals. The simplicity fascinated her. She had spent years attending exclusive galas and luxury gatherings. Yet she felt happier sharing ice cream with Emma than attending elite corporate celebrations. For the first time in a long time, she laughed without forcing it. Unfortunately, not everyone appreciated the growing friendship. Several executives inside Ashford Enterprises became concerned. Rumors spread, questions emerged. Why was the CEO spending time with a warehouse contractor? What was she planning? Was there some hidden agenda? Victoria ignored the gossip, but pressure continued mounting. Then a major crisis struck the company. A powerful competitor launched a campaign attacking Ashford Enterprises. Stock prices fell. Investors panicked. News outlets intensified scrutiny. Every aspect of Victoria's personal life became a target, including her friendship with Ethan. Reporters appeared near his apartment. Neighbors were questioned. Emma became frightened. Ethan considered ending contact with Victoria entirely. Not because he disliked her, because he wanted to protect his daughter. When Victoria learned this, she felt devastated. The possibility of losing the only genuine friendship she'd developed in years hurt more than she expected. For several days they avoided communication, both believing distance might be best. Then fate intervened once again. Late one evening, Ethan noticed smoke emerging from a neighboring apartment. Without hesitation, he rushed inside. An elderly resident remained trapped. Ignoring personal risk, Ethan helped carry the man to safety before firefighters arrived. The rescue made local news. Reporters interviewed residents. One after another, neighbors described Ethan's kindness, his generosity, his selflessness. The story spread rapidly. Soon millions watched videos celebrating the single father, who constantly helped others despite having so little himself. Victoria watched every interview, every clip, every story, and she realized something important. People like Ethan were exactly what the world needed more of. Not because they were perfect, because they chose kindness despite hardship. Several weeks later, Victoria announced a new initiative. Ashford Enterprises would launch a nationwide community investment program, supporting struggling families, single parents, and local neighborhoods. The board questioned her decision. Some investors objected, but Victoria persisted. The program moved forward. Public response was overwhelming. Communities benefited. Families received support. Opportunities expanded. The initiative became one of the company's greatest successes. Privately, Victoria admitted to herself that Ethan inspired it. His example reminded her what truly mattered. Months passed. Then came another turning point. Emma became seriously ill. Fortunately, it wasn't life-threatening, but treatment costs exceeded what Ethan could afford. The bills accumulated rapidly. Fear returned. The same helpless fear he experienced after losing Lily. He worked longer hours, accepted additional shifts, sold personal belongings. Still, it wasn't enough. One evening, exhausted and overwhelmed, Ethan sat alone in a hospital hallway. Victoria happened to visit after learning about Emma's condition. She found him staring at the floor, defeated. For the first time since his wife's death, Ethan admitted he didn't know what to do. He felt like he was failing. Failing as a father, failing as a provider, failing at everything. Victoria listened quietly. Then she shared something she had never told anyone outside her closest medical team. After her accident years earlier, she spent months unable to walk independently. Doctors questioned whether she would ever regain meaningful mobility. Many days she wanted to quit. Many nights, she cried alone. The world praised her success later. Nobody saw the suffering beforehand, Both realized they carried similar scars, different circumstances, different losses, the same loneliness. Emma eventually recovered. The relief felt indescribable. Life slowly stabilized. Then, on an ordinary morning that seemed no different from any other, Victoria invited Ethan to headquarters. He assumed it involved charity work. Instead, she presented him with an opportunity. Over the past 2 years, she had observed his leadership skills, his integrity, his ability to earn trust. Ashford Enterprises planned to expand several community outreach programs. Victoria wanted Ethan to direct them. The position included a salary far beyond anything he had previously earned, healthcare benefits, educational support for Emma. A future. A real future. Ethan stared at the offer in disbelief. His hands trembled. For years he had fought merely to survive. Now someone believed he could do more. Much more. Tears filled his eyes, not because of the money, because of what it represented. Hope. The thing he thought he had lost forever. He accepted. The transition wasn't easy. Learning corporate systems required effort. Managing large teams felt intimidating. But Ethan approached every challenge the same way he approached fatherhood. With determination and heart. People responded immediately. Communities trusted him. Employees respected him. Programs expanded faster than expected. Success followed. Yet the greatest reward wasn't professional. It was personal. For the first time in years, Ethan attended Emma's events without worrying about missing work. He helped with homework every evening. They took small vacations together. Simple experiences many families considered normal. Moments Ethan once feared they would never have again. Meanwhile, Victoria experienced transformation as well. She stopped hiding behind perfection. Publicly acknowledging her physical challenges inspired thousands facing similar struggles. Her honesty strengthened rather than weakened her reputation. People connected with her authenticity. Investors respected her transparency. Employees admired her courage. The mask she had worn for years finally disappeared. One autumn evening, nearly 3 years after their first accidental encounter, a community center funded by Ashford Enterprises opened in a struggling neighborhood. Families gathered. Children played. Volunteers celebrated. Ethan stood on stage beside Victoria. Looking across the crowd, he felt overwhelmed, not by success, by gratitude. Every hardship, every sleepless night, every painful loss, somehow they had led him here. To a place where he could help others, to a future he never expected, to friendships that changed his life. Before the ceremony ended, Emma approached the microphone unexpectedly. The audience smiled. She took a deep breath and spoke from the heart. She thanked her father for never giving up. She thanked Victoria for believing in him when few others did. And she thanked everyone present for proving that kindness still existed. Many people wiped away tears, including Ethan, including Victoria. Sometimes the most life-changing moments don't arrive with grand announcements. Sometimes they begin with an accident, a brief glance through a window, a chance encounter, a simple act of decency, a decision to see someone's humanity instead of their status. Years earlier, Ethan accidentally saw a powerful CEO during a vulnerable moment. He thought it was meaningless. Instead, that moment became the beginning of a journey neither of them could have imagined. One discovered hope, the other rediscovered purpose. And together they changed countless lives. Before we reach the end of this story, we'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment telling us where you're watching from and share one act of kindness that changed your life. Your stories inspire others more than you know. As the sun set behind the new community center, Ethan watched Emma laughing with friends nearby. The sound filled his heart. For years he had feared losing everything. What he never expected was gaining something far greater. A future built not on wealth or status, but on compassion, resilience, and human connection. Victoria stood nearby watching families enjoy the center. For the first time in many years, success felt meaningful, not because of numbers on a financial report, because real people were smiling, real lives were improving. Real hope was growing. And all of it began when two wounded people crossed paths.